a cheer and boo and raise a hullabaloo at the ball game today.
Pulling up to the Burbank store. Here's one of the murals, Kobe and LeBron. There's the front entrance. There's the mural. And I know there's another mural here on the other side. All right, and there's the Otani mural. There's the front entrance. We're around the corner from the Kobe mural. So here's the LeBron mural. So those are the two murals of the Burbanks. Okay, walking in.
Yeah, I just love that. And like you said, that's the kind you like. Yeah. I've never seen that. They're hard to find. Absolutely. I know. The problem.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Monday, June 23rd. At least that's when you're seeing the video. I'm actually recording this Sunday night, June 22nd. I had just returned home from the Front Row Card Show in Pasadena, California, and I wanted to talk to you about that. Obviously, you saw the footage that I just showed you. It's been the footage of the Burbank card store. It's been kind of a sports card weekend here. I was off on Thursday, June 19th, or Juneteenth. It's a federal holiday out here. So I had the day off, and I decided to take the drive up to Burbank, which is about 40 miles away from me, and check out the Burbank card store at their brand new location. They were in their location, the retail location, for maybe 3 years, but they've had a big warehouse in that area forever. But they moved to a Rite Aid, a former Rite Aid. They took over the entire store. And for those of you from the LA area who might head out there, they are across the street from Porto's Bakery. So you can make a real double header out of going to the Burbank card store and hitting up Porto's Bakery and then going to the Burbank card store. Or you can just reverse the order. It doesn't matter. But got to check that out. That's some of the footage that you saw at the beginning. The store is huge. The store is huge, you guys. A lot of graded cards just out on display. A lot of supplies, all sports, a lot of wax. And yes, believe it or not, for my building friends, there are a lot of commons. I went there, and I should say vintage commons. There are modern commons too. I went there specifically to look at 1961 cards, and they gave me 2 separate boxes. I think they were 3,200 count boxes, not all filled. Looked through those, and then they gave me an 800 count box. Maybe they were 1,600 count boxes, the first ones, but then they gave me an 800 count boxes with a little bit nicer cards, and I was able to pick up a few cards, which you're going to see here shortly. And it's just a nice looking store, you guys. Areas to sit down and go through your cards, or people play some type of game that I'm still trying to figure out what they're playing. But like I said, plenty of supplies, 2 cash registers, they're buying cards, plenty of parking. Though I have heard when I got there, the parking lot was full, and I'm hearing from the people at Burbank it's because there are people who are going to Porto's for lunch, and they are parking at the Burbank Cards store. So that supposedly is going to change soon. But it was a good-looking store, and I'm glad I went out. For me, it's not a place I would go to all the time just because it's kind of a commute. And unless I have plans out that way, that would be the only reason I'd head out there. Or if I have tickets to a Dodger game, and maybe I'll just go out there before the game. But I'm glad I checked it out, glad I picked up the cards. It's a very nice-looking card store. So that was the beginning of my sports card weekend, and I ended the weekend on Sunday at the Front Row Card Show in Pasadena, California, at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium. It was the first time I had been there I had missed the last 2 or 3 shows, and the last few times I had missed, I didn't go because I was not getting free tickets to get in, and the place was always jam-packed. And then when you got there, it was really just a Pokemon show. And this time, I knew a lot of the sellers that were going to be there, or some of the sellers that were going to be there. And my friend George from Diamondyard Sportscards was going to be out there, and Levon was going to be out there from LA Collection. And I also knew that my friend Mitch from Mitch's Vintage Collection was going to be there. And I've been really tackling this 1961 stuff. So I thought, you know what, let's go spend the afternoon out there and let's go check it out. Let's see what we could tackle for 1961. And I was extremely surprised on how nice the show was. There was a lot more vintage than I seem to remember. There were more vintage tables. Other than the vintage tables I mentioned, there were several more. Some people had some nice cards to show off, so that was nice to see. You know, when you see a Pokemon table, you just walk past it. And for me, when I see a modern table, I just walk past it. But I was able to look at some nice vintage cards at several tables before I stopped to see Mitch or George or Levon. But it was nice. It was the first time I'd ever been to a show on a Sunday. And since I didn't want to pay for parking, the parking around there is usually 2-hour parking. But on Sundays, City of Pasadena doesn't have that ordinance. So you could park on the streets surrounding the auditorium, the Pasadena Civic Auditorium. You could park there unlimited. So that was a good idea. And I got there later in the afternoon. One of the things I'm noticing with the front row shows is they sell, and from what I hear, people have said they oversell these VIP passes of theirs that allow you early admission. And early admission starts at 10 o'clock. And if you get there at 9:55, there is a huge line. And I've heard stories over the last few months, and in fact, I heard it again today, that yesterday, the fire marshals were there, and they're not letting everyone in at the same time. So it's a big zoo. So I tended to stay away from that. Today I showed up at 1 o'clock, and that was perfect. Showed up at 1 o'clock. I walked right in. I didn't pay for VIP. I just paid $10. I prepaid. I bought my tickets a couple of days ago. And I just went. I just walked in. It was really nice. And, they were it was in a big room. And I'm going to show you some footage at the end. It was in a big room, and it was a good show, you guys. And I was pleasantly surprised. So, got there, went straight for Mitch. I'll leave Mitch's info on the description, just because he's such a good guy and he's selling a lot of cards, and he's always there. He's always there making deals for me. And Mitch, I can't thank you enough. So, got there, saw Mitch, met my new friend Chris, and I have got to get some more info out of Chris. We exchanged phone numbers. Guy has a very nice vintage card collection. I believe he's collecting all the vintage sets, and he's getting really close to finishing a lot of them. And then he has like all the post 80 sets. I think he actually has them all. He has all the Topps cards through present day. Got to meet him. We hung out for a bit, and then Mike Petty showed up. Spent most of the day with Petty walking the floor, which was nice because it gave me a chance to talk to him. I see him more on YouTube than I see him in person, but it was fun to get to talk to him and ask him questions about collecting or even just things like, I'm thinking of getting a safe, or we were talking about, do you put cards in a security deposit box? Asking him those type of things, or we were talking about insurance, and I have my cards are insured with Collect Insure, I believe they're called, and I think that's important. So it was nice to get to talk to him about those type of things, and then he helped me pick out some cards, which was nice because he would look at the card and we would talk about the price and maybe what price I should make an offer at. So it was really helpful having him there with me. And we walked around, and like I said, we visited Mitch, we visited Levon, we visited George. We did the rounds like 2 or 3 times, looked at some other tables, and it was a good time. Chris came along with us for part of it, and it was just really fun to be out there. So it was a good afternoon. Bought cards from Mitch, bought cards from George, and it was great to see them. It was a nice summer weekend in California. In SoCal. It's not hot yet. The weather was beautiful. It's just the Dodgers were playing today, and Shohei Ohtani was pitching. So I wanted to listen to the first inning on the radio. And right when I got to the show, the first inning ended. So I went in, got to see some friends, got to see some collectors and hang out, got to see my friends that sell cards. So it was really nice, and I am effing exhausted. I say this every time I go to a show. I have flat feet. I just don't know how some of these guys go to the National for 5 days and look at cards. I applaud them just because I just don't have that energy. And I wish I did. But oh well. All right. So I'm going to show you some cards from my latest pickups from eBay, from the Burbank card store, and then I'll wrap it up with some of the cards I picked up today at the Front Row Card Show in Pasadena. So let's turn the camera around. I'm pretty tired, but I wanted to get this video out because Mom's coming next week, so I've got to get a video out this week. But let's turn the camera around and let's take a look at some baseball cards, you guys. My last video, I believe I needed 42 more cards to complete the 1961 set. Most of these pickups are from Greg Morris on eBay. 1 or 2 might be from the Burbank card store that I went to this week. And I might have some pickups from the Front Row Card Show in Pasadena. So let's get started. We're getting to the fun part here because I'm picking up some Hall of Famers, some famous players that didn't make it to the Hall. First card is card number 30, and that's Nellie Fox, 1959 MVP. Again, I'm trying to be transparent on this with this set because I am having really good luck with pricing. This card cost me $11. And actually, this card is actually from the batter's box. I picked up a few cards from the batter's box, as I tend to do that quite a bit when I'm building sets. So that is Nellie Fox. Give you a close-up there with all the light. Second card is definitely an eBay card. That's Eddie Matthews. So I've reached that point of the set building where I still have a few commons. It's fun. It's funny when you're building a set. Sometimes you just get these common cards that aren't easy to get, aren't easy to find, and when they do show up on eBay, it takes a while for or the price is high. So here is Eddie Matthews. I paid $11 for that card. Next up is another eBay buy. This was from Greg Morris. That is one Stan the Man Musial. I think this is the only Stan Musial card I own. No, it's the second one I own that's not graded. Geez, Mikey gave me a 58 All-Star card. Or no, he gave me a 59 top Stan Musial. So I'm trying to do this set as much as I can ungraded. But I mean, I've already got all the All-Stars graded and the Mantle graded. So found this one for $39. So far, other than the Mantle, this is the most I've paid for one card. So that's Stan Musial. Here's a card that it was expensive, but I found it good price at the Burbank store, and that is Bill Mazeroski's game-winning or series-winning home run in Game 7. This one cost me all of $6. I find this on eBay, $20, $30. I'm assuming it's people from Pittsburgh driving up the price. I'm still mad about that 1957 Topps Mazeroski I paid $125 for, that I believe I could get now for maybe like $75 or $85. But there's Bill Mazeroski. That's a great card. Still need one more card for the 1960 World Series subset, and that is Game 2, which I believe is Mickey Mantle hitting a home run. This guy's not in the hall, but he's a great player, and that is Rocky Colavito. At this point, he's been traded to the Tigers. I'm assuming Harvey Keene is no longer on the Indians by this point. But here's Rocky Colavito in a very nice photo taken at Yankee Stadium. And I think I paid $11 for this one. Finding a lot of cards in the $10, $11 range. This next guy, recent Hall of Famer, Minnie Minoso. I paid $8 for this. This is not from Greg Morris, somebody on eBay though. $8 for that one. Minnie Minoso. This one is a Greg Morris. This set is kind of expensive, I'm finding out. Don Larson pitches a perfect game. This one cost me $20. And that's saying it's, it's off-centered. And I've seen cards, frankly, that are a lot more expensive for this particular Don Larson card. But as I mentioned, I'm still missing a few. I'm missing that Mickey Mantle card and the Babe Ruth and the Lou Gehrig. And those cards, I'm seeing them between $25 and $60. I'm trying to work a deal right now to pick up the Ruth and the Gehrig. Hopefully in the next video or two, I can show it off to you. But there is Don Larson pitching a perfect game. Great photo, great card. I like these baseball thrill subsets. Larson pitches perfect game. All right, next up, I mentioned this to you in my last video. I'm going to say it again. Here's where my OCD kicks in. I'm repurchasing certain Dodger cards. And in this case, it's Duke Snider. And you're going to see a couple more here. I'm trying to keep my 1961 top set different or separate from my Dodger team sets. When I was building sets, like 1965 to be exact, and 1963, I would just I would pull cards from my Dodger team set and just throw them into my 1963 top set. And I'm trying to avoid that now. So with 1961, with the exception of the Sandy Koufax card, I have been able to repurchase everything. This one cost me $12. I've been able to repurchase everything, and so I can still have my Dodger team set on its own and still have my 61 set totally complete. So there's Duke Snider. Next up, Gil Hodges, same situation. And that is his last card, I believe, on the Dodgers. By 1962, his card was on the Mets. Still in a Dodger uniform, I think. It was a headshot. I think he's capless, but he was now a member of the New York Mets. So there's Gil Hodges. A couple of subset cards. The remainder are from the MVP set. All from Greg Morris, except the very last one. Here is Phil Rizzuto, 1950 Most Valuable Player in the American League. I absolutely love these subsets. Really do. A friend of mine mentioned that he didn't like the Willie Mays because the Mays has no logo on the cap. I don't have that card yet, so I won't judge until I buy that card, but loving the Rizzuto card here. That's from 1950. Another Hall of Famer, 1951, 1953, 1955, National League MVP Roy Campanella. Topps had some good ideas in 1961. I can't say enough how much I love these subsets from 1961. It makes this set really nice. And then let's see, the last pickup for this set, or for these. This is another eBay buy. I don't remember who it's from. It's not Greg Morris. And that's the 1960 MVP Dick Groat. I think I paid $5 for that. By the way, the Campanella cost me $20 and the Rizzuto was around $20. So those were a little bit more expensive. But I think I said the Groat was like $5-6. Still need I think I still need 6 more MVP cards. All right, so let's go on to the next batch. So the last 4 cards, I picked up 4 cards at the Front Row Card Show. I always get that wrong, the Front Row Card Show. I went looking exclusively for 1961s. Did see some other great cards, but I wanted to stick with 61 as I'm trying to really you guys keep hearing me say this, I'm plowing through the set. So actually the last card I bought you, I'm going to show you first. And that is this Ernie Banks MVP card, 1958 and 1959. You've heard me talk about this MVP set a lot. Great looking card. And the reason that I wanted to show this first, and I did not pay that price for it, the reason I wanted to show it to you, I bought this from George over at Diamondyard Sportscards. And again, I always tell you guys when you're looking at cards, and I was at George's table for a while because I always like to sit there and chat with him, but look through everything. I had looked at George's graded cards, and I was just sitting there like, he was doing his work, and I was just sitting there going through everything. And all of a sudden I came up with these stack of top loaders. He had like 5 or 6 stack of top loaders. And I decided to look, and all of a sudden I go, oh, look, and nice cards from 1967, nice cards from 1963. All of a sudden I started going, oh, wait a minute, he's got cards from 1961. I didn't think he had any. And there, all of a sudden I found this Ernie Banks card that I needed. And I took a look at it. Like I said, Mike Petty was with me. George gave it to me for $15, not $18. So always look through everything when you're at a table. Because, like I say, if I don't start going through everything, I don't notice this card, and I come home with one less card. So that is a 1961 Topps Ernie Banks, and that's his MVP card. Next card I bought was from Tyler and Dominic. They are regulars at these Front Row Card shows. I believe that they just follow the circuit of Vegas, Pasadena, San Diego, Seattle, I think Portland. And they had this Ron Santo card I was looking at, and this was the first card I actually found today. And I was able to pick this up for $20. They gave me a break on the price, and it was a good pickup. And I always think that I love when I pick up cards that I need, and I needed this Ron Santo card. So so far I've picked up the Banks and the Santa, so I've picked up 2 Hall of Fame cards that I needed. And it's a good pickup. Last 2 I picked up from Mitch over at Mitch's Vintage Collection. He gave me a nice deal here, and like I said, I went to him first, and I saw what he had, and I'll admit, and I did say this to Mitch, I thought, well, I'm seeing the prices cheaper on eBay, and he's like, don't worry, he goes, see what you like, and we'll make a deal, and he was really adamant about that, and I appreciated that, just because maybe I'm being too nice, or maybe I just don't want to ask for, what's the best you can do on this. But I saw 2 cards that I liked. The first one being this Brooks Robinson card. And I saw the price, and I was honest. I said, I saw this on eBay for this price. And he goes, fine, I'll give it to you at that price. And I was really happy with that. And I picked this Brooks Robinson card up, card number 10. Yeah, it's card number 10. And like I say, every time you find a card that you want, it's just like one less card you have to look for. So there's Brooks Robinson. And then a few minutes later, while going through his stack of cards, and like I say, Mitch has all these vintage commons, 50s through 80s. Then he's got his 3 or 4 display cases filled with pre-org, with vintage, all graded cards, and they're just phenomenal to look at. And I know you guys are going to go visit Mitch, because I'm starting to meet people at Mitch's table. They go, yeah, I watch your show and you talk about Mitch. So keep going to see Mitch. He's got good cards. There was a gentleman there, and I did not get his name. Honestly, you guys, I got there around 1 o'clock. And then Mike Petty and I went back there around 3:30 or 4 or 4:30. He was still there buying a huge stack of cards. So hopefully he did well there hopefully Mitch did well. And hopefully the seller or the buyer did well. And then the last card I picked up from Mitch was this Yogi Berra MVP card. And again, I saw the price and showed it to Petty, and Petty, looked it over, and we both said it's a nice card. Can we get the price lower? And Mitch gave me a good price on both of these cards. Way better than any price I would have found on eBay. Way better than any price I would have found at the show. So I'm very pleased with that. So I picked up 4 cards at this show, all Hall of Famers. Pretty happy with the lot here. And this now brings me down to 22 cards, I believe. 22 cards to finish the 61 set. I have 3 more cards arriving this week, I believe. And I have my eye on 2 or 3 more. Just waiting to see if my friends over at the Batter's Box out of Humboldt, Texas, who do not sponsor this show, have a 15% off sale. All right, you guys, my voice is shot. I am tired. Thank you for everyone who watched. Thank you for everyone I met up with over at the Front Row Card Show. Thank you to all the kind people over at the Burbank Card Store. And like I say, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful week, you guys. Take care.
An outfield coach on the committee come in and really kind of mind them with it.
And then you can go 6 on 6.
It's like 8 years, $100 million. That's not a big contract. O'Neill Cruz, when people look at, unlike like the Mariners signed Julio Rodriguez to a 10-year deal a couple of years ago. Now, if he meets all the incentives, it's going to be like $450 million. If he doesn't, the guarantees are like $120. Now, he's going to need at least some of them. He's going to get a contract at least in the middle of it. But they didn't do that with O'Neill Cruz. You got to write him a check soon. And most of it.
It's a beautiful